Are live, and I have my co-host for the Syndication show, Kalani Michelle, with me. And I also have Jaiden Olsen, and Jaiden is a real estate investor and syndicator. And we actually just released an episode a little while back of the Syndication show, which Jaiden was our special guest. And Jaiden, it's been pretty cool getting to know you. I think we first met. We were speaking on the same stage, and since then, we just stayed in contact. I love what you're doing. You have a wide variety of different projects, and you have just really taken off as an investor. I mean, I look at your and as far as timeline, somewhat short career as an investor, and just how much you've been able to achieve, and I'm really impressed by it. So welcome, Jaiden.
I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks.
Yeah, it's good to have you here. So we're building out this YouTube channel. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the links to our main YouTube page for those of you that are watching, whether that's live or whether you guys are watching the recording. Go check out our YouTube. And then specifically, I'm going to put the link to Jaiden's episode and dive into that. There's some really good stuff. However, we wanted to come back in with Jaiden and get some of the things that were talked about off camera, because there was just some really good, golden nuggets, so to speak. Oh, we lost Jaiden. He'll come back on. He'll come back on. All right. So
we got Jaiden
back. Not sure what happened.
What I was saying is we talked about some really good topics off camera. And I wanted to make sure we did this live to get those, because some of them are really crucial for people to understand if they're getting into investing. So we're going to try and hit on some of that, but I'm going to turn it over to Kalani for a minute and let her kind of chime in.
Yeah, thanks, Christian. Jaiden, it's good to see you again. It's been maybe about 6 weeks.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, yeah. So, and again, Christian and I are back with another live episode of with the Syndication show. So here at Pre-iShare, we do a couple of different things, and I know, Jaiden, you know some of that. I'm just going to let the audience know. So we are essentially raising the bar when it comes to real estate syndication. So we're launching a commercial real estate fund here. Fingers crossed, maybe February 1st is kind of the latest date. We're kind of in some of those final stages of the PPM and all of that. And so what we're going to be doing with our fund, so it'll be a $100 million fund as of right now. That's what we're planning on. And it's open-ended. And Christian, you're welcome to chime in on some of that too. And specifically, it's a 506C for accredited, and so only accredited investors can invest in that. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be purchasing fractional syndicated real estate investments through that fund. And just so we have the fund. Here, where's my hand? There we go. There's my hand. So we have the fund. Okay. And then something else that we're doing is the listing hub. I think I'm reversed on this. Is the listing hub. So with the listing hub, that's going to allow investors to list their fractional shares on our listing hub. And essentially, other investors can come in, do their own underwriting, and potentially make an offer on the deal and buy those deals. So we have the listing hub. We have the fund that we're launching. We have the Syndication show, which is our national show that we've launched. What, Christian? Maybe 6 months ago or 4 months ago? I don't know how long it's been.
Something like that.
It's been a little bit. Anyhow, so we're building out a studio in Murray, Utah. Part of that is almost done. And so we'll be filming from the studio here soon too. So we have the Syndication show, and we have some other great things that we're doing. And so as part of the Syndication show, we are going live on social media to bring our audience more value, entertainment, education, and also give sponsors exposure to our community of investors that we have across the U.S. and see what relationships they can build from there. So we have a bunch of different things going on. And Jaiden, we so appreciate you coming on and sharing your knowledge. I know we can dive into a bunch of different things. You have an upcoming deal in Idaho that you're putting together, which is super exciting. And so we'd love to dive into some of that. And for those of you that are watching right now, we'd love to know where you're chiming in from, and if you're watching this live or if you're watching the replay of it. So let us know in the comments of this video on whichever platform you're watching it on. And Christian, I'm going to throw it back over to you.
Cool. So Jaiden, you are neck and neck right now with another guy in being the first approved sponsor with Pre-iShare. So we're pretty excited about that, because that means you're going to get access to, our funds for equity in your deals, depending on how it best suits your needs. So everybody understands. So give kind of the Reader's Digest of your career in real estate and how you even got into syndications in the first place.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I started in real estate in 2015. I bought my first rental property. I should say my second rental property. I moved into my house. We rented out the basement. That was my very first rental property. But I started marketing for deals 2016, 2017. Finally, after 3,000 calls, bought a sixplex in Ogden on seller finance, 2% down, and held on to that for a few years. And then we sold it. Since then, I've done 18-unit apartment complexes that we've wholesaled, and we've managed development projects upwards of 26 single-family homes. And we've done $1 million rehabs and flips, and we've done some wholesaling, and we've continually marketed for multifamily stuff, been under contract on lots of stuff. And recently, just in the last year, we started closing some of these bigger deals, which we're really excited about. So we own 10 cabins in Alaska. We've got 4.
Uh-oh. Jaiden, you're paused.
Well,
we got some connectivity issues.
Okay.
So Jaiden will come back on. So I happen to know that this first deal he did, he talked about while we were on the show, right, Kalani? And that was really cool because what I liked about that transaction is the people that invested into that transaction with him actually got the opportunity to go fishing at the cabins. So they get to share in the income that's coming in from these fishing cabins up in Alaska. And then they also get to go up there and do the fishing themselves. So he kind of talks about how that was a pretty easy sell as far as enrolling investors into that transaction. So it's like Jaiden's back, but he's still frozen. He may not have the best internet where he's at right now. One thing I'm noticing though, Kalani, is every single one of us have a bunch of books behind us.
I noticed that too, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Something else that Jaiden had mentioned, hopefully, he's able to get a good enough connection to hop back on with us. He had mentioned that the investors get, I believe it was a week at one of the cabins. Wasn't it, Christian?
I believe so, yeah.
It was pretty amazing to be in Alaska fishing and just doing whatever for a whole week, just off the grid. So, Christian, I don't know if Jaiden's going to be able to text you or not, maybe with an update on kind of what.
I'm watching. Looks like he's trying to log off and log back on.
Okay.
I'm going to guess it's just an internet issue. So hopefully we'll be able to get him on. If for some reason this doesn't work out, we will go live again with Jaiden at a future date.
Yes.
But in the meantime, Kalani, what book are you reading right now?
Well, oh goodness, what book am I reading? So I'll tell you about my book. And then if Jaiden doesn't hop back on, I think we should talk about our approved sponsor process and what that looks like, because I know we've made a lot more developments there. Let's see, what book am I reading? Probably, well, one that I started around New Year's again was called Code of the Extraordinary Mind. Have you read that one?
No, I don't believe I have.
So it's just a lot about kind of like thoughts, beliefs, and all of that. And it talks about, there's a section, I think it's chapter 2 in there, that talks about the 12 areas of balance just in your life, like looking at multiple areas, whether it's, family, relationships, like intimate relationships, or relationship rather, or for some, I guess it could be relationships, but friends, like what you want your environment to look like, what you like communities that you're a part of, right? So all these different areas of life and evaluating them and looking at, what's serving you and what's not. So I'm excited to do that again, because it's probably been a little over a year since I kind of dove into that before, and it always helps me to just come back to me and who I am and what I want out of life. So that's one of the books I'm reading right now. How about you?
Give me that title again first before.
Code of the Extraordinary Mind. It's by Vishen Lakhiani, who's one of the co-founders of Mind Valley.
Yeah, I know Vishen. I actually met him when he was in Utah one time. It was a lot of fun.
Jaiden,
are you live?
Maybe.
Oh man, I hope so. Not sure what's going on.
All right, I think we have you though.
Sorry about that. That's good.
That's right. So cool. We were actually talking about your deal that you had shared on the show, where these fishing cabins, people actually got to go spend a week in addition to making money off of the investment. Share with us about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we structured this deal it was one of those deals that I got emotional about. I said, I want to have a cabin in Alaska. This is awesome. Great opportunity. And the short-term rental market is super good around the area that we purchase these cabins in. And so the best part about it is it's economies of scale. It's not just one unit. We have enough property that we could offer our investors the opportunity to stay at these cabins once a year. And so we started diving into the numbers, and to give each investor 1 week a year up at these cabins cost us 7% of gross rents annually. And it was a small dent to take. We're still giving our investors 15 to 20% annual returns on their investment. But it's a way fun project because people love to have the perks, right? Give people the opportunity to do unique things, have those vacations that they can rely on, and other things like that.
That's awesome. And are people already starting to receive income from that transaction? How far along are you guys? I know you purchased it just recently.
Yeah, so we're in the stabilization phase. We have some improvements that we're making to the property. There's 5 of the cabins that are fully booked for the summer already. The other 5 cabins we're renovating this year, and we anticipate having those ready and done by April. Should everything go to plan, we should be able to give distributions by the end of the summer. So, and that will be less than a year into the project. But that's kind of where we're at.
Nice.
Very cool. So they get to start making money and go fishing right around the same time.
Yep, that's right.
So, very cool. And then, syndication, what caused you to start syndicating your transactions? I know part of it is just the size of your deals you're doing, but was there anything else that had you go in that direction?
Yeah, I've always been a creative finance kind of guru. I love the options that creative finance produces. We do a lot of development deals on creative finance and other options. And when we were negotiating this contract, it just came down to it that they were not willing to take seller finance terms or anything that way. And it's like, all right, let's just make this happen. We'll find the money, we'll make it work. And I think I can pitch enough people this idea. We've got experience raising money in the past on some of our other projects. Let's just do it on a larger scale. And so we talked with our attorney and said, let's just do this as a syndication. 45 days later, we closed, which was a whirlwind if you know anything about putting together these documents and everything. But it was fast.
To find a deal.
I wouldn't say that I've necessarily I wouldn't say that I've been thrown into it necessarily because I've done a lot of research on syndication, but it felt like I was being baptized by fire there in that 45-day period for sure.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And that is a quick time frame on closing on something large. I mean, many people will do at least double that just on due diligence alone on a larger transaction. So it seems like you had a little bit more insight onto into the property itself and what you were planning on doing there. So that's great.
Yep, absolutely.
So Jaiden, I know one of the things that we talked about off camera that really helped you was having a stable income from your own business, right? You are an engineer by trade, and
yes.
The first goal for you in investing was to get out of engineering, and then you kind of shifted that to building engineering to the point where it produced enough income where you had additional cash flow. I'd love for you to just share the kind of that process and what went through your mind and how you, and I know your wife helped you kind of strategize, taking those steps.
Yeah, well, real estate's one of those activities that I think a lot of people, there's a lot of like shiny object syndrome. People get in and like, I'm going to be a millionaire in real estate. And yes, anybody like real estate investors, we call those guys millionaires, right? And I think everybody recognizes there's money to be made, but what they don't think about is how often they're getting paid, right? And so when I quit my job to get into real estate, yeah, I had money in the bank, so I had a runway to get my next deal. But I didn't get my first paycheck for 10 months after quitting my job. And yeah, it was a 6-figure paycheck, which was awesome. But I quickly realized that I needed to have stable income to put food on the table. And yeah, rentals can provide that over time. When you're doing these larger syndications, developments, fix and flip, whatever it might be, there is time between getting paid. And so I'm fortunate that I have a skill set that meshes very nicely with real estate investing. I design buildings. I'm a structural engineer. And I began to realize how vital my services could be to a community of house flippers, real estate agents, and people who are developing projects. And so I started offering my services as a professionally licensed structural engineer. to do drawings, to write reports, and all these things. And it was kind of my side hustle, I guess, if you will, just enough to put food on the table. I limited the number of hours that I was working every week to two days a week. That's what my limit was when I started doing that. And my schedule filled up really, really fast. And then by the end of year 2 in real estate, we were still making a lot of money in real estate. My engineering business was definitely providing more than I was making as an employed engineer. And I said, all right, I'm busy enough that I either need to focus on this and see what we can do with the engineering business, or drop it all together and just focus on real estate. And I just felt very strongly that I wanted to see what I could do to grow this business. And so a couple of years ago, I decided we're just going to pedal to the metal and see what we can do. We hired 5 employees. We opened up the marketing channels and opened up the pipeline of work, and we started grossing $50,000 to $70,000 a month in a very short period of time, which was incredible. I do attribute a lot of my success to the lessons that I've learned as a real estate investor: how to market, how to hire virtual assistants, how to assign tasks, how to manage a project. There's a lot of those skills that are independent of the occupation that I could apply in a very broad sense to my engineering company and do extremely well with.
Yeah. I mean, it's like running a company, right? Delegating, operations, managing the projects, and all of that. Are there, Jaiden, I don't recall, are there resources that you watched, read, consumed in some nature that really helped you to develop those skills?
Yeah, well, I don't think that it's any coincidence that all 3 of us have a book.
That's what Christian and I were saying.
I think that it's super important to consume valuable information from many different aspects. I mean, we live in a world full of technology and information that we've never been able to consume education as quickly as we have before. And so I'm a podcast junkie. I read a ton of books, audio books, and everything. Social media, I'm careful with those that I follow on social media, so that I'm always filling my brain full of the right information.
Yeah. Well, social media is a great marketing tool.
Yes.
Christian, did you want to chime in there, or should we move over to just talking about the importance of having some good partners? Jaiden, I know you expressed that, and so would love to dive into that. Christian, unless you wanted to piggyback on anything we just mentioned.
No, absolutely. I think jump in, because Jaiden, shared that off camera as well. How crucial it is to have good partners.
Yeah, so my real estate business is a 50-50 partner. His name's Joey Webb. He and I have been partners for 3.5, almost 4 years now. And that's when I like forming that partnership, assigning different roles and tasks and operations, and really delineating what each of us are responsible for in the business has been a huge learning curve. In addition to operating and managing my real estate business, having good partners is a skill that you can apply in every direction, just like we have with our investors and our syndications, just like I have with people who are placing money with me in a flip even. I mean, that communication is key. Hard money lenders. I'm in a partnership with hard money lenders. Another partnership that I do a lot of is with the sellers, seller finance deals. I consider the seller to be a partner on my deal. I have to build confidence with him that I can accomplish on the promises that fulfill the promises that I've made to him to perform on and execute the project. And for me, the biggest key to having good partnerships is communication. You have to know where you're at any given time in the project, and be able to communicate to your partners how things are going, whether it's a syndication, whether it's with a hard money lender, whether it's a seller finance deal, or in like a 50-50 partnership with my business partner.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest key. It really is.
So what overall roles do you play, and what overall roles does Joey play?
Yeah, so I grew up in construction. I have a construction background, and obviously I went into engineering. So I have an incredibly diverse background when it comes to managing a project. I know how things are supposed to be built. I understand the process and what things are supposed to go in and when. So a lot of my responsibility is catered to managing the project, getting things done. And I consider myself an expert in that field. It doesn't matter if it's a single family home or a 13-story office building like the ones we've designed in Salt Lake. I know the project. Joey's more on the finance end, making sure we have the money that we need, and budgeting for everything. And then we both, I mean, real estate's a networking business and marketing business. And so we both put ourselves out there. We both focus on that. And there's some overlap, but it's an incredible advantage to have a business partner, somebody that you can bounce ideas off of. And I hope Joey's listening to this, and I hope he doesn't feel like I'm throwing him under the bus, but we balance each other really well. I'm a big thinker, high-minded. I'm going to conquer the world, and I can get myself into a lot of trouble really fast by doing that. And Joey's one who will kind of reel me back into reality, make sure that we're not going to be stupid or over leverage ourselves or anything that way. And so having somebody that's vested in our success, who has a different viewpoint than you, is incredibly valuable, and I'm very grateful for that. And not to mention the time freedom that it buys us. I mean, took a month off last year in September, and you can't do that without good partners.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I've been
great.
blessed enough to have a partner in my real estate as well over the past 18 years. And, it's nice to have, like you said, the different aspects of it. He's much more conservative, and he thinks in spreadsheets, and he organizes everything. And I'm like you, I can go out there and I can drive and I can build and get excited about projects and pull people together. But then it's about making sure that we're putting those in the proper order and executing.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, at Pre-iShare, there's 8 partners, potentially soon to be 9. And so we've all learned to kind of work together and play our individual roles. And there is a little overlap in between each of us, I would say, or some of us. And it's been great because we get the job done.
That's great.
Yeah. So Joey, let's or not Joey. Hi, Joey. I hope you're watching this, Joey. Joey, how's it going today? Jaiden. So let's talk about your Idaho deal. Was this something like, were you out like looking for a deal? Was this something that kind of landed on your lap? How did you find this deal?
Yeah, I mean, I put feelers out at every turn we can. I've got some partners that we're working closely with who actually brought this deal to me because they believed that I could be the perfect performer on this project. It's a high rehab, like large rehab budget. And it's a project in Idaho. My wife's family's from southeastern Idaho. We've got a lot of really good contacts and contractors up in that area. But it's a 48 unit. It needs about $2.5 million worth of work. There was a gas explosion in one of the units last year, and so it's mostly vacant, which is always terrifying to buy an asset that's bleeding at every turn. But I was brought into this deal was brought to me because of my ability to complete projects and large rehab budgets like this.
Nice. So you haven't started rehab yet, correct?
No, we don't. Yeah, we're working on the contract. It's not officially under contract. We should have signed papers by the end of the week. But purchase price is $1.35 million for 48 units. And so for those of you that know real estate, that's an incredible deal.
And then put almost double that into the rehab.
Exactly. Yep. It needs that. Yep. But it's got good bones, and I can speak to that as a structural engineer. Like, it's mostly cosmetic upgrades that we're going to make, which is great.
Hey, Jaiden, I'd love to get into having you share the difference between active investing and passive investing, because you obviously are very active in all of your projects. I mean, somebody that is right in the nitty-gritty of the engineering and project management. That's the active side of investing. But then the passive side of investing is, oftentimes people who maybe they have a career and they don't have time to go out there and find real estate projects or be managing real estate deals. And maybe they've just gotten to a point in time in their career where they no longer want to be actively thinking and concerning themselves with the day-to-day details. Sure. So talk about the different aspects and what you see in the market from active investors versus passive investors.
That's a really interesting question. For me personally, I'm a big fan of doing some of both. I am a very active investor, but when it comes to my personal assets, I try to disconnect from it and put my money in other passive assets, because when I get my money involved, I tend to get emotional. And if I can keep my money out of the deal and just focus on managing somebody else's money, I think I do a better job as a GP at managing other people's money. And so, yeah, I do have some deals where I am invested personally, but a lot of the time I still maintain separation from my passive and active investments. As far as a appetite in the market from active investors versus passive investors, I think that there's way more passive investors than those people who actually want to get in and get their hands dirty and see the deal through than there are active. I mean, there's a ton of work that goes on. And when I look at it as a GP, I have to work for free for essentially till we refinance, or there's not a lot of money in it for me until we get to the end of the project, which is just fine with me. I don't mind working for free. I have an income through my engineering company that pays me during the meantime. But for a passive investor, they need that cash flow. They need that performance. And I'm at a different stage in my career as well. I'm in a growth phase. I'm acquiring, I'm executing on projects. And when I get to a point, I'm sure that I will transition into that passive role as well. But I think the appetite's never been bigger. There's so many people that want to get out of their 401ks. They want to get into real estate. And they are used to that 401k model where they just park their money and wait.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they end up trusting it to some guys on Wall Street that they figure might have their best interests in mind. And what we're finding is oftentimes that's not the case, right? We see a lot of people not taking control of their retirement and ending up with much less than they expected. And part of the reason I even bring up this question is it's a little bit leading in. I've been a part of the real estate education space for the majority of my career, in addition to investing actively. And what I find is there's a lot of people that think they want to be active investors because that's all they know. And in reality, if this is a dentist that is working all the time, if this is a doctor that doesn't have much free time for their family as it is, and they have extra income and they just want to be better invested into assets that they trust and that they understand, like real estate, usually the passive role is a better role from them. I once had a guy come to me who was a doctor and him and his wife were together. And it was the funniest thing. We were talking about, do you want to be more of an active or a passive investor? And he said, I think I want to try fix and flips. And his wife is behind him going, no way, no way. And we just got to the nitty gritty of it, there was no way he had time, to run an investment, an active remodel. But what he did have was money. And that money could turn into, great things from a passive angle.
Well, I think that this market is a blessing in disguise in the fact that a lot of people are going to recognize and realize that they're not good active investors. They have the passion for the real estate, but they'd rather just park their money with somebody who can actually perform. And these market cycles are great at weeding those individuals out. And so, yeah.
Who's underwriting your deals, Jaiden?
So I have an operations manager on my team. His name's Colin Bagley. He does a lot of the underwriting. I do some high level numbers when I'm talking to people to see if this is even something we're willing to consider. Then we have a team of professionals who dive into the numbers, the markets, and everything that way.
Nice.
Very cool. Well, Jaiden, it's great to have you on here. Is there anything specific that you would like to share with the Pre-iShare audience that's out there watching this of, maybe just good, solid advice if they're thinking about getting into real estate?
One thing that I've realized very heavily in the last several months, real estate, like success in real estate investing, is about surrounding yourself with the best people. It comes down to your accountants, your lawyers, your attorneys, being part of this community and the Pre-iShare community. Surrounding yourself with the right people is what's going to take you farther than anything else. And so the fact that you're listening to this and interested in investing, just talk to people. You can reach out to me personally, ask questions, figure out how to become an accredited investor, whatever it takes. And surround yourself with the right people and have great communication skills.
Yeah. How do they get
more
a hold
deals
of you,
blow
Jaiden?
up because of that communication. You can reach out to me on social media. My Instagram handle and Twitter is @JaidenOlsen23. That's the best place to reach me.
And then Jaiden had mentioned the Pre-iShare community. So we actually have a Facebook group that we're building out right now, and it's very young as of right now, but this is the time to get in there and start sharing valuable knowledge and also, connecting with the people that are on there. I'm talking with real estate sponsors almost every single day in one form or fashion. And a lot of them I'm saying, hey, join this community. Let's get in here and get the conversation going. Because one thing that people don't realize about what Pre-iShare is doing is, in addition to all the value and the equity that we're bringing to other people's deals, we're also bringing together a collective intelligence, market intelligence from many different sponsors in different areas and different asset classes. And when you start getting many minds together, all of a sudden there's a different genius that comes from it.
Yeah.
I love
And
that.
so the link to the Facebook group was just posted in the comments right now. You can also go to preiShareCommunity.com to get access to our Facebook group. Well, Jaiden, is there anything else you want to say about that deal that you have coming up?
No, I'm excited to be sharing more details next week and in the weeks to come. We're it's 120 days. You mentioned earlier that 45 days was fast time to close the syndication. This one is 90-day due diligence with 120-day close. So we've got time, and I'm excited to share the details on this with anybody who will listen.
Okay, and will you be posting about it on social next week?
It might be the week after, but yeah, we'll get it out.
So maybe in the next week or two or so, Jaiden's going to be posting about his upcoming deal in Idaho that they're going to be doing quite a bit of rehab on. So it'll be exciting to see that project come to fruition for you, Jaiden.
Cool. Thanks so much. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, Jaiden, it's always good to have you on. And Kalani, it's always nice to be with you as well. Everybody have a great